first anesthesia person ever. Okay? And he made an operation. He took part of his body. It says the tzela, but it's not necessarily the rib. It could be the side, probably. And he separated from Adam. And that's also very, very unique, because when Hashem created all the animals, he didn't create one and from it he did the other. He created male and created female. Not in this case. In this case, first of all, it was one. Then Hashem, it's not good as one, so let's split it. Why? Why not create Chava by itself? ויבן השם אלוקים את הצלה אשר לקח מן האדם לאישה ויביאה אל האדם. So he brought her to Adam, and Adam was very happy, and he said, wow, the name of this creature is in Hebrew, Isha. Why? Because it was taken from the Ish, from the Adam. Okay, fine. So, you know what? I have to go back to this, but let's see more sources first. We're jumping now to the fifth chapter. זה ספר תולדות אדם. This is the book of תולדות האדם. ביום רואה אלוקים אדם בדמות אלוקים עשה אותו. And here again, זכר ונקבה בראם. Male and female he created them. ויברך אותם, and he blessed them. ויקרא את שמם אדם. את שמם אדם. Their name is Adam. Their, not his. Their name is Adam. Now people got confused because his name is Adam, her name is Chava. So, but it's here it said that they both together called Adam. And it's connected to what we said before, that Tzelem Elokim is Zohar and Nekeva, is a male and female. Now it's very, very interesting. In Hebrew, when you want to switch or turn singular to plural, you add two letters at the end of the word, Yud Mem. Yad, hand, Yadayim. רגל, רגליים, אוזן, אוזניים, לחי לחיים, כתף, כתפיים, ברך, ברכיים, etc. So to turn it to plural, you do Yud Mem. Now, Adam is singular. How do you say Adam? Adam in plural. No such a word. No such a word. You cannot say Adamim. Bnei Adam, Bnei, that the children, Bnei Adam. But they themselves, they do not have plural. Because there is no plural. And here's the secret. The first thing, according to the Torah, this is the concept of what the Creator revealed to us. Listen to this. This is fundamental. This is the base of everything that I want to share with you today. In the world, in the philosophy of the nation of the world, a male and a female are, each one is a one in the merit of itself. Not according to the Torah. According to the Torah, first of all, Chava was created with Adam in the beginning before the separation. So it's like this. Ish and Isha, male and female, are not 1 plus 1 equal 2, but half plus half equal 1. Very, very important to understand this. If I'm 1, I don't need anyone else. If I'm half, I'm helpless. I'm just half an entity. And that is the basic of everything that we're going to learn today. But let's go deeper. Human being is a very problematic creature, as you know. If you do not know, you will know today. First of all, let's leave the male and female aside right now. Let's start the beginning, right? The beginning was a combination of two things, a body and a soul. We know relatively what a body is. We have no clue what a soul is. Soul is not something physical that you could measure, touch, or have access to it through your physical senses. But what we know about the soul and the body, that they contradict each other. The worst shidduch ever is the shidduch between the body and the soul. Everything that interested the body, not interested at all to the soul, and vice versa. Therefore, to take those two opposite things, tie them together, combine them, when Hashem did this, when God did this, He made a guarantee for a good parnasa for psychologists and psychiatrists. Because there are no common denominator between them. And this is the problem when we relate to ourselves. If we will relate to what we see in the mirror when we wake up in the morning, we see the body. Most of the people in the world look at themselves as a body. So the body need to eat, need to rest, need all the physical things, right? So people trying to, in order to be happy, to give the body everything the body wants. I'm not saying need, but wants. Okay? And hope that they will be happy. But they're not. Why? Because another half is the soul. Usually people do not know about it, therefore they ignore it, therefore they do not take it in account. So you could give the body whatever you want, and you could, but someone will be miserable over here. And if you will decide to be spiritual, 100% spiritual, just ignore the body, you also will not be happy, because the body will be miserable. Therefore, in order to be happy, you have first of all to realize that you have two parts, two dimensions. You have to be aware that they are not the same. The needs of the physical is different completely from the needs of the spiritual. And the art of life is to create a harmony between both. And if you do that, there is a chance that you'll be happy. So this is the first stage. Why Hashem did this? Why? And we have to know, it's unique, it's exclusive. Only human being has a physical dimension and the spiritual dimension. And here I have to be clear. According to the Torah, neshama, a soul, is only a human being thing. If you heard that a cat has 7 souls, that's not coming from Judaism. There is a very deep concept in Kabbalah called reincarnation, that a soul of a person could go either to other person or to animal or to even to planet, other stuff. But that's not the original of this. When it goes for punishment. It's like you take someone and put them in jail. Not the jail needed. Not the animal do not need the soul, but the soul could be there in order to do some fixing or whatever. But neshama is something, soul is something unique to a human being. Why Hashem did this? Why Hashem combined us from those two opposite things? Okay, but if we go up, we'll see that the picture is much more complicated. Hashem created Adam, right? Body and soul, Adam. Then you look at it and say, not good. Cynically, I could say, yeah, it's not complicated enough. Let's make it even more complicated. So he took the body, separated to 2 bodies, a male and a female. Then he took the neshama, says, no, in the Torah it says that he separated the body of Chava from the body of Adam. What about the neshama? The Torah do not relate to this. It says that Adam got the neshama, but when Hashem created Chava, the Torah didn't mention that there was a neshama. In the pshat of the Torah, in the simple level of the Torah, in the depth of the Torah, in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar said that Hashem created one neshama. When he separated the body of Chava from the body of Adam, he took this neshama and split it. The male side of the neshama, the male part, is stayed by Adam, the female went to Chava. So now what we have? We have now 4 things. His body, her body, his neshama, her neshama. Now you have to know, the same contradiction that you have between the body and the soul is the same problem that you have between a male and a female. Different things. Different interest, different structure, different things, male and a female. So now what we have here, A very complicated picture. You have, in order now to be happy, you have to do two things. First, try to make harmony between your body and your soul. But after you do that, you still have. You have to look for the other half. And the other half have to do the same thing, a harmony between her body and her soul. And the marriage is to make harmony between the two souls and the two bodies. Wow, that's a problem. But that gives us the project of our life. Hashem didn't do it without reason. Let me tell you something very deep. When Hashem says, Na'aseh Adam, plural, Na'aseh, not E'eseh, I will make, but let's make Adam. So according to the Midrash, he's speaking to the Malachim. Advice with the Malachim. But the Zohar says, the Kabbalah says, Vayomer Elokim Na'aseh Adam, Hashem speaks to the Adam himself. And he said, let me and you make you. When Hashem created us, it says in the Torah that we were created B'Tselem Elokim. B'Tselem meaning similar to. Similar to. Bidmut Elokim Asauto. Bidmut. The root of the word dmut are the letter Dalet Mem Hey. Dalet Mem Hey is what in English we could say similar. Similar is not identical, but similar. I could take a chair made of wood and a table made out of wood and say they are similar. Similar what? This is the chair. How it's similar? I mean it's similar in a way. It's made from the same material. It's in the same color. That's enough to be similar. It's not have to be identical. So we are not identical to God, to Hashem, but we're similar. In what way we're similar? One thing. Everything that Hashem created in the world are actually robots that have a program called the laws of nature that dictate them how to run, how to maneuver, how to function. The only exception is a human being. In many areas, we are also under the laws of nature. But Hashem gave us something very unique called free will. No such a thing in any other creature, physical or spiritual. They have no free will. Only human being has a free will. And in that we're similar to God. Because Hashem, what do you mean free will? If you do not a free willer, there is a reason that causes you to do. And you have nothing to do, to say. You have no say. Just do what you're programmed to do. Hashem is almighty. No one tell him what to do. And he gave us in certain areas also to be a free willer. In that we're similar to God. And this is the Tzelem Elokim. Tzelem Elokim is not the image, but there is something unique, special, a human being that's similar to Hashem. And this is a free will. Okay, so after we understand a little bit what human being is, that by itself explains why people are not happy in the world. Because most of them do not aware that they are a combination of spiritual and physical. In the Western society, everyone just prefer the physicality, ignore the spirituality. In the East, they realize, no, spirituality is the main thing. So what they do, they diminish or press the physical is bothering us. So let's be only spiritual. But they have body. So you cannot be happy. The right thing is to understand that you have two parts. You understand that they contradict each other and try to make both happy in harmony. Of course, you could not do it yourself. You need instructions. And the instructions is basically the Torah. The meaning of the word Torah is horaot, toreh li taderech, instructions, directions. Hashem told you, you want to be happy, you have to do this for the body, but give it a spiritual meaning. And this is the spiritual meaning. And there are the amounts, all the details. Just follow this, Then you create the harmony that you want, and then you'll be happy. Okay. Now let's move to the concept of love. What is love? So this is a very good question. Many songs, so much was written about love. What is really love? I want to tell you the secret of Judaism about love. But I'll start it from a very interesting story that mentioned in the Talmud, in the Gemara, in Masechet Shabbat. Let's go to there. Here's the story. Masechet Shabbat, Daf Lamed Aleph, Amud Aleph, page 31, the first page. This is the story. Ma'aseh benochri echad. It was at the time of Beit Sheni, about approximately 2100 years ago, at the time of Hillel and Shammai. One Gentile, non-Jew, heard about Judaism, and he was a spiritual person, and he wants to convert to Judaism. So he went to Shammai. Let me explain to you. There is something called Sanhedrin. And the Sanhedrin, which is the Supreme Court of the Jewish nation, has 71 people in the Sanhedrin. 71. The one is the president, the head of the Sanhedrin. Right? The 70s are in hierarchy. The higher among the 70 called Av Beit Din. He is a secondary to the president. At the time when we're talking about, Shammai was the secondary to the president, and the president was Hillel. According to the Torah, judges, Sanhedrin, anyone who will be in the Sanhedrin, could not get any salary, not from the government, not from the people who taking his services. In order to prevent bribe and things like this, they're not allowed to get money from this. So they have to make a living, right? So everyone make a living in the different areas. Shammai was a constructor. He works with buildings. He was a constructor. This Gentile, instead of coming to Yerushalayim, where the place of the Supreme Court was in Beis HaMikdash, called Lishkat HaGazit, he came to him to the field in his work time. So he came to Shammai and told him, I want to convert. Could you convert me? So because he was an intelligent person, he knew the secret number, 613. Right? The number of the mitzvahs that we have, 613. He knew about it. So he knew that when you want to join the Jewish nation, like everyone wants to join any kind of club, they have to know the rules of the club. So he came to Shammai and said, I really want to be Jewish. Could you convert me? I know that I need to learn. But please don't send me now to the yeshiva for 15 years. I don't have time for that. Could you convert me and teach me the basic of the Torah when I'm standing on one foot? That was the request of this Gentile. Shammai was a very, very serious person. Huge scholar, but he was very tough. So when he heard this idea from this Gentile, he wanted to convert, but he has conditions. Could you do it short? Shammai told him, listen, it's not serious. You want to be Jewish. You understand that you have to learn what Judaism is about, right? You have no time. So go home. When you have time, come back. I cannot convert you. That's what Shammai told him. But this person was really insist on this. He went to Hillel and he said, let me try the higher level, the president. He went to Hillel with the same thing. I want to convert, and I want you to summarize the entire Torah for me in a time that I could stand on one foot. Hillel, look at his eyes, realize that he is honest. He really wants to be Jewish. You do not you do not want to have shortcuts. But he realized that he's not realistic, the same way Shammai did. But Shammai has no patience for him, and he sent him away. Hillel said, you know what? I'll do it for you. And he did something so amazing to this person. You want to know what? If we summarize the entire Torah, you know what the entire Torah in one sentence? He said, yeah, tell me, please. So he told them. He told them, okay, I will convert you. You know what is the entire Torah? Da'alach sani lechavrach lo ta'avid. What is hateful to you, do not do to others. What you do not want people to do to you, don't do to others. This is the entire Torah. Wow. How could he say that? And how this Gentile could take it from him? He knew that the Torah has 613 mitzvot. So what do you mean? Just to be a good person? To be a good person? First of all, there is no mitzvah like this in the Torah. Never in the entire 613 mitzvot in the Torah, there is no mitzvah like don't do to other things that you do not people to do to you. There is no such a mitzvah. And how Hillel told him this is the entire Torah? The answer is he didn't tell him that the entire Torah. He said the following. Amaru, he told him, Da'alach sani lechavrach lo ta'aved. Things that you do not like that people do to you, don't do to your friends. Zoi kol Torah kula. This is the entire Torah. So many people just cut it over here and they say, it's easy to be Jewish. You do not have to keep Shabbos. You do not have to eat kosher. Just be a good person. But it's not true because they cut the sentence in the middle. There is a continuation. Zoi kol Torah kula. This is the entire Torah. Ve'idach. What's ve'idach? And the rest. So let's say it's one out of the 613, right? So what about the 612, the rest? Ve'idach, the rest, perushahu. This is the explanation of this one. Zigmo. You have to go learn. You know what he told him? He told him something amazing. He told him, he took one of the mitzvot, not the way it is, and he presented to him, and he said, this is what you want to do. It's impossible. You need to have explanation how the impossible will be possible. And there is no shortcuts. You have to go to the 612, learn them, and from there, you could make the impossible possible. So, I want to explain first why it's impossible. Why it's impossible. He did a trick, an amazing trick to this guy. So, I'm using this story in order to understand the concept of the mitzvah of ahava, and we're talking about the love between you and your fellow Jew. Okay? So let's go to the pasuk. This is from the Gemara. Let's go to the verse in the Torah. Here's the verse. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha ani Hashem. It's in Parashat Kedoshim, chapter 19. Look what's written over here. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha ani Hashem. I was really surprised to find out the popular translation of this verse. And Christianity is really to blame about this, but not just Christianity. You know how they translate it to English? Not like this. This is more accurate, even though this also is not exactly. But how do you say in English, in Christian, how do you say, ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha? Love your neighbor, right? Love your neighbor the way you love yourself. Neighbor? Where do you see any neighbor over here? It's not Hebrew. The Torah didn't say ve'ahavta le'shchencha kamocha. Love your neighbor. But they translate it this way. Neighbor. It says re'acha. Re'acha is not your neighbor. Re'acha is your fellow. That's not accurate. Unfortunately, I saw it in Jewish translations too. Not in Archroll, I think, but they translate it this way. Well, what are you talking about? And there is no mitzvah to love your neighbor. But there is a mitzvah for a Jew to love their fellows. Okay. But there is a condition over here, Ani Hashem. Why? Why Ani Hashem? I mean, we have 613 mitzvot in the Torah. In most of them, you do not find that at the end of the mitzvah it says Ani Hashem. Of course Ani Hashem. Hashem gave the entire Torah. Why it's mentioned over here? It's not the only place, but it's one of the places that after the mitzvah there are the addition Ani Hashem. But you know what's the big questions over here? We have to understand those three words. And it's not easy. Ve'ahavta. What is love? What is it? Lereacha, to your fellow, fine. Kamocha. What's kamocha? The way you love yourself. So there is a hidden assumption over here. What's the hidden assumption? That you love yourself. Is it a necessity? Everyone loves themselves? I know a few people that really hate themselves. But the assumption over here, you love yourself. That's not written even. That's the assumption. After you love yourself, you have to love the other the way you love yourself. You know what that means? That if you do not love yourself, you will never be able to love anyone else. Now, how come there are a phenomena, unfortunately, of people who do not love themselves? You know what's the key? They do not know who they are. As we said before, a person is a body and a soul. Most of the people in the world know their body, identify with their body, ignore the soul, therefore they are not happy with themselves. Therefore they are not loving themselves. In order to love yourself, you have to understand that you are the body and the soul. You have to understand that they contradict each other. You have to understand that you have to work on making them work, function in harmony. If you do that, there is a chance that you will love yourself. After you love yourself, now come the mitzvah. Love yourself the way you love the other the way you love yourself. Meaning, the mitzvah is not to have sympathy to others. Nothing less than loving them the same way you love yourself. And this is the impossible. Let me explain why. We have two mitzvahs. This one, it's between us. In the same words, the Torah give us, look at the word, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Same thing, ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. Same words. Now, between people, what is love? The popular explanation, I'll tell you, you are not too far from Hollywood. They taught the world what love is. Like this, hugging, okay? At the least, hugging. It could not be the meaning of the pasuk. Why? Because maybe you could do hug between two people, but how could you hug between you and Hashem? And it's the same language, and Hashem doesn't have a body. You could not hug him. It means that over here also it's not a hug. So what is love? What is the real love? Here's the secret. It's here. And that's why those two words are here. Ani Hashem. In order to know how to love your fellow, you have to know how to love Hashem. Because love is not physical. Could not be physical. Physical could not really love each other. So let's try to understand what is the meaning to love Hashem. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. So the connection between those two sentences is very important. The last word over here is Echad. What's Echad? One. Hashem is one. And then Ve'ahavta. Now, what is the meaning of the oneness of Hashem? This is a whole shiur of 3 hours that I don't have time to do. But in brief, we use the number 1 in everyday language about many things. 1 chair, 1 table, 1 person, 1 building, right? All those 1 are not real ones. The absolute 1 is only 1. What is the absolute 1 versus relative 1? This table is a table compared to other tables, but it's not 1. As a table, it's 1. But there is a plate, there are legs, right? There are components. It's not 1. It's not just like the table. Anything that you could imagine that you say 1 is not 1. This person is 1 person, but he has a lot of limbs, right? So it's not 1. Take the small, little thing. It's not 1. It's the material and the frame. It's already 2. There is no 1 in the world. No such a thing. In the creation, there is no 1. The creation starts from 2 up. That was the Torah, started with the letter Bet, not with the first letter, Aleph. Aleph is 1. But the Torah started with Bereshis, right? Why? Because what's the topic? The creation, the Shamayim and the Aretz. It's 2. The letter Aleph is the first letter of the 10 Commandments. Why? Because it's talking about Hashem. Onoichi Hashem Elokecha. See? So there is no real 1. When we say here that Hashem is 1, we are not meaning a relative 1. The meaning is the absolute 1. What is the absolute 1? We have no way to understand it. I'll tell you why. Because if you understand something, you must have the ability to define it. If you could not define it, it means that you do not understand it. Now take the word definition. What is a definition? It's a finite. It's coming from here to here. When you have, in Hebrew it's called hagdara, to define something. Hagdara, 5 letters. Take the first hey and the last hey. What do you have in the middle? Gader. What is gader? A fence. So hagdara, it's something that you could make a border, a fence around it. You cannot make a fence or a border around Hashem because He's Almighty. If you have a fence, He's until here, you cannot chas v'shalom over it. That cannot be Hashem. So Hashem is undefinable. You cannot define Hashem. Therefore, you could not understand Hashem. Not because your tools are limited. You could understand things only when they limited. So you have no way to understand the unlimited. Hashem is 1. And now Hashem told us that we have a mitzvah to love Him. How do you love Hashem? What is the meaning to love Hashem? It's a mitzvah in the Torah. You have to love Hashem. We cannot see Him. Could you love someone that you never saw? Physically, for sure not. But not physically, you could. I'll give you an example. When I was very young, I started to read. I was fascinated by reading. So I spent all my childhood, and not just childhood, until now, reading. I was a bookworm. That's what my hobby is, to read, to learn. At a certain age, you're young and stupid, not too smart, and I love mystery books. That was for me the best, happy, that make me the happiest person. Mystery books. I love them. And when you read a lot of mystery books, your challenge is to go to the mind of the author and try to guess what's going to be in the next page, in the next chapter, how the book going to be finished. It's a real intellectual challenge. Once, I was in Eretz Yisrael, in Israel at the time. I read only Hebrew. I didn't know other languages. You could see until today, I do not really know fluent English. But I read a lot of books in Hebrew. Stupid books, not Torah books, mystery books, all this. So once I met someone in the library, and he told me, you like mystery books? Did you ever heard about an author called Alistair MacLean? It's a British author, Alistair MacLean. I said, no. He said, oh, if you like mystery books, you must read one of his works, of his books. So I went to the librarian. Alistair MacLean, translated to Hebrew? Yes. Okay. I read the first book, and that's it. I fell in love with him, with the author. So I asked for another book, and another book, and another book. After a few books, I start to think like him. And again, my challenge was, according to what I know about him, how the next chapter going to be, how it will look like. I fell in love with this person. I never met him in my life. Even if I meet him, I could not talk to him. We were not sharing the common language. But I loved him without seeing him. So you could love a person without seeing him. If you follow or identify with the way of thinking. So this is actually the way to love Hashem. We never met him. We could not meet him the way we meet other people. But you know what? He wrote a book. Read the book, you'll fall in love with him. He wrote a book, the Torah. Read the book, try to understand the depth. You'll be this is the amazing experience ever, for me at least. I believe everyone, if you really have ability to go to the depth. ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. How do you love Hashem? How do you love God? So the secret is here. Those two words are one after another, right? Echad and ve'ahavta. Interestingly enough, there is a level, there is a realm in the Torah. You know, you heard about the Pardes. Pardes are 4 levels, 4 dimensions. Pshat, Remez, Drash, Vesod. Pshat is the simple understanding. Deeper is the Reish, which is a hint. And there are way of hints, you know, the first letter in each word, the last letter, the jumping letters, whatever. There are, or letters that smaller or bigger. This is the whole realm in the Torah called hint, remez. Then deeper level is the drash, the midrashim. Drash is to demand, to search. So if you find that the Torah writes something, and you ask yourself why, it could be written easily, simpler, more simple in a different way. Why the Torah use this? Search. It's not stam. It's not for nothing. There is a meaning on it. You dip into it, you find a whole treasure, a whole realm called drash. And there is the secret, the sod. The samech of the Pardes, the secret, the sod. So in the second level, which is the hint, you take those two. Over here is the secret of what love is. Echad, 3 letters, right? But what the numbers of this letter? Aleph is 1. Chet is 8. Daled is 4. Together is 13. Right? Now take the second word. Ahava. Here it says ve'ahavta, but the concept is ahava. 4 letters. Aleph, 1. Hey, 5. Together 6. Bet, 2. 8. And another 5. The last hey, 13. Okay, 13, 13. Echad and ahava, 13, 13. What that says? It seems like, okay, right? But here's the thing. I'll tell you a personal story. I'm an Israeli, as you could realize. I mean, I was born and raised in Yerushalayim. I came to America not when I was very, very young. When I came to America, I finally was visiting the Big Apple. And I saw all the skyscrapers and those things. And I was doing at the time what I'm doing now. I'm talking about 35 years ago. I was teaching Jewish philosophy for an organization, if you know, called Arachim, if you heard about it. It was established in Eretz Israel at the time. I was a lecturer and I came to America and I was giving classes, shiurim in Jewish philosophy. At the time, mostly among Israelis, in Hebrew, everywhere. So it was just a matter of time that I would be invited to home to give a lecture for Israelis, and it was in Manhattan. So I went to Manhattan. I was going to this one of the huge building, and the person was living, I don't know, in the 28th floor. So I took the elevator, pushed the button, 28. Then I realized something missing in the numbers. No 13. 12, 14. Was weird to me. I was alone in the elevator. I have nothing to point out about it. And I really do not know anything about it. About 2 weeks after, I was invited again to a different family in Manhattan, in the, I don't know what floor, 17, 18. But were people with me that come to the lecture with me, and we met in the elevator, and I saw the same thing. Different building, no 13. So I looked at the people, what's the story with the 13 over here? They look at me like I have something really missing in my knowledge. What, you do not know? I said, no, I don't know. I don't know, I want to know, what's the story? So they told me something that was it was really hard for me to believe. They say they, on purpose, do not put the number 13 because they believe that it's a not good number. I said, what? We're in America. There are intelligent people. They believe in the superstitious. It was hard for me to understand this. But okay, live and learn. But I'm more curious, and I didn't, okay, I heard that from them. I was surprised. I went to the library, tried to search the story. What's the problem with number 13? And I heard a lot of theories, and yeah. The Goyim, the Gentiles, afraid for the number 13. And it was very amazing to me. Now, why? Because we believe in number 13. For us, it's a very good number. We know 13, bar mitzvah. We have a 13 midot שהתורה נדרשת בהם. We have a 13 attributes of mercy. 13 midot. 13 is a very good number for us. So I went deeper to it, and I find out that's exactly the problem behind the scenes. Because we are connected. What's the common denominator? Connecting. A bar mitzvah, a child, you're part from everything. You connect when you're 13. 13 מידות שהתורה נדרשת בהם, connect the Torah שבכתב and Torah שבעל פה, the oral Torah and the written Torah. 13 מידות של רחמים was giving, the 13 attributes of mercy, was given to Moshe Rabbeinu after the golden calf sin, that Hashem wants to destroy us, and Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, and Hashem told him the secret. Say those 13, do tshuva, do the 13, you connect again. So what's 13? Connection. And you have to know, you ever heard about something called anti-Semitism? Why they hate us? Just because of that we are the nation of God. למה נקרא שמו הר סיני? Why it's called Har Sinai, the mountain Sinai? Because, says the Gemara, שמה ירדה שנאה לעולם. There, when we got the Torah on Sinai, then they start to hate us. Because who are you to be unique? But okay, leave this aside. Let's go back here. You know what's love? Love is 13. Love is connection. But what kind of connection? This kind of connection. Not a hug. You cannot hug God. He's not physical. How do you love Hashem? Connect to Him. Same way, if you want to know how to love your fellow, it's the same words. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. So, the bottom line is, don't even think to find love in the physical. No such a thing. Love is only spiritual. Now, between you and Hashem, you have a soul, a neshama, and Hashem is spiritual. Those two naturally can connect. Problem is that our neshama is in the box called body. And that's a problem. The body divides between us and Hashem. What do we have to do? To make the body holy. To make it working in harmony with the spiritual, and therefore the spiritual will be connected, and the body also will be part of this if you will do the instructions, the mitzvahs. And that's actually what Hillel says to this guy. In order to really connect, it's impossible. You could not do it without training your body to be spiritual by following the 212 mitzvahs. You will connect yourself to Hashem, then you could connect yourself to your fellow. And that will make the impossible possible. In Hebrew, see, this is the terrible thing that Hollywood made. Hollywood actually is the teacher of the vast majority of the people in the world. Everyone has TV at home. Everyone from age 0 see movies. And one of the major topics in Hollywood is to teach you what love is. What love is according to Hollywood. So in Hebrew there are two words that's similar in the sound, but they're so opposite. One is ahava, which is love, and the other one is ta'ava, which is lust. Ta'ava. Hollywood put the essence of love, lust. They took the ta'ava and said, this is love. This is not love. This is not loving other. I will finish it because, you know, our time is... With a story. Remember this story. That will be enough. That will be worth the entire thing. See how they mixed us up. They brainwash us. And it's hard to really get rid of it. The story is the following. One person has a good reputation about certain restaurant. He never was in this restaurant, but he said, go, if you have a chance, go visit there. So we went to this restaurant. That was, I don't know, a combination of Chinese, Japanese, and whatever, all of this restaurant. They give him a menu. He didn't understand a word. Words, and I don't know, it's a combination of Italian, Chinese, Japanese word, the name of the dishes. So he didn't understand a word, and he had to order. So the waiter comes, do you know what you want? He said, give me a few minutes. Okay. So we saw other person at the other table that got the menu and ordered right away, meaning this person familiar with this restaurant. So he told him, can I ask you something? What did you choose for yourself? You probably know the menu. What's the best thing? I don't know what to choose. So he pointed on something and said, this is a very good dish. What is this? It's fish. So we asked him, why did you choose this fish? So he told them, I love fish. I love fish. He looked at him and said, you love fish? You do not love fish. What do you mean I love fish? You do not love fish. Don't ever say that you love fish. It's a lie. You really love the fish? So how come you're fishing it out of the water? You love him, right? As the fish, he will want to be there. He will not want to be taken out. So you do not love the fish. Because you love the fish, you take him from the place of his ability to live and make him shaking like this, right? You have mercy on it. So you take something very hard and put on his head to make him stop moving. All from love. And then you take a frying pan, put oil on it, make sure it's really hot, and then you cut it down and you make it well done. And you love fish? You do not love fish. You love yourself eating fish. Unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening. You see a couple, they're going out together, something developed. She always will be the first one to have the anticipation to hear from him the magic word. and he has time. He's not in a rush. And she wants to hear from him the word, say something. I love you. He has time. But when he will say that at the end, he or she, it doesn't matter, what actually they mean? I love you. I love you? Yes. I love me eating you. The fish. The fish love. It's selfish. Selfish. It's a selfish thing. You do not love the other, you love yourself. This is ta'ava. Ta'ava is what I'm taking from you. Ahava, it was I'm giving to you. You do not, the body, the physical, never ever be able to give. Because the essence of the physical is a lack, and it's always taking from outside in. If any part of the two could give, it's only the non-physical. And this is love. Love is to give. And you know, when you give, the more you give, the more you love. Very interesting why. Why? Try it, by the way. Give, and you'll see that you love the person or the one that you give to. Why? Tell you why. Because when you give, okay, I don't know how to finish this class because it's really, there is a lot of interesting things. That will be really the last thing, okay? Imagine a couple, husband and wife. They're married not 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They married for, let's say, 15 years. They have children, 2 or 3 children. They love their children, the mother and the father. So we have two relations of love, the parents to the children and the husband and the wife to each other, right? Very interesting difference between the two kinds of love. When you love your children, the love is unconditional. And you give them so much, right? You give birth to them, you feed them, you raise them, you invest so much for them. Now take the husband or wife. We're talking about a normal marriage. Very correct, good connection. But there is something in this relations that up to a certain condition. You know what is the notion called scoring? Scoring. I will give a lot, but I want you also to invest. I don't want to be the only one who give to our marriage, right? Fair enough, right? Sounds fair. How come we do not do this with the kids? I will give to you in order for you, or should be that you give to me. We have no anticipation to get from our children anything. You know why? Because they will never give. And we do not care. We do not care. But between the spouse, we really care. If we are, let's say, the couple are very idealistic and they put a lot in the beginning in the marriage, he and she, and then one of them got tired. And slowly but reduce, and it's obvious. The other spouse will say, you know what, maybe, you know, it's a crisis, it's okay, but after 3 months, half a year, doesn't go. So at a certain point, she will say to him, he will say to her, we have to talk, right? And they will try to talk. What's going on? Why you? So imagine that, I don't know, in the beginning they say, okay, I'll be better, but it's never happened. After 3 months, never happened. They talk again. That will be the beginning of the end. Why? Because I don't care to give, but I don't want people to use me. Right? It seems fair. That's the problem. Love is giving. Is giving unconditionally. There is a notion in Hebrew that I'm not sure that any American could really understand it. It's special for the Hebrew. Something called friar. I don't know how to translate it to English. All of these are not what friar is. Israelis are very idealistic. I want to, but one thing I will never be agree to do, that people will use me and I feel like idiots. That I'm giving, everyone using me. That's not this. Why? When you give in order to get, you are not a giver. You are a sophisticated taker. You do business. I will give in order to get. And like in business, if I see that I'm not getting at least what I give or less, I will close the business. It means that you are actually a poor. If you were a rich person, not with the amount of money, in your personality, I don't mind. Take as much as you can. I'm happy to give you. Take more. Bring all your friends. I have so much, I don't need nothing in return. That's a real richness. The body could not do that, because the body compared to the soul is a poor. The soul is the rich one. So only if you give from the soul, you will feel great. So the recipe for good marriage, you need two people that each one of them is a real friar, is a real giver. Don't ever think about what you get. The same way you do it with your kids. If you will just copy the relationship with your children to the relationship with your spouse, you win. You win. And those marriages will be the blessed one until 120. Okay. There is so much more, but we have to conclude here. Thank you very much. Thank you, the congregation of Beth Jekyll, for hosting this. I'm so happy to give this rich information in Yiddishkeit and the Judaism in English. I mean, in my English. I'm sorry about it, okay? But I used to do it only in Hebrew until a few years ago that I started to get more courage to speak in English. And I think people telling me, I hope they are not doing it because they're too nice, that they could understand. And the message is delivered. So that's great. Okay. Thank you very much.